Welcome to this episode of Mainline Connect. Our guest today is Mindy Lipsky, who's the founder of Innovative Coaching Services. Thanks for joining us today, Mindy.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. So if you've seen some of our shows, you know that we like to start out talking about a networking topic, of course. And I wanted to ask you about what has worked for your business as far as have you attended networking events that have helped you grow the business? Has it been more word of mouth and referrals? Is it both? Tell us how that's worked out for you as far as your business.
Well, I always find that visiting a lot of different networking events is a great thing. I have never met a business person who goes to one networking event and has found that has been the most fruitful thing for them. Okay. So I find that visiting a lot of different places and building that know, like, and trust leads to the the referral and the word of mouth. So I've gotten a lot of referrals and word of mouth based on the people who I've met at networking events and have solidified those relationships with them.
That's great. And what about, past clients and things like that?
Past clients do word of mouth, but I do feel that placing myself as an expert in networking situations. So I often will volunteer to speak at networking events, definitely get to know different people. I'm not a business card collector. I have a coach and a mentor, Ivy Slater, who she describes networking kind of as a spider web.
Okay.
So the points are the different networking events and opportunities that you have, and they kind of tie in with each other. And it makes sort of a web that you can kind of collect information, knowledge, friendships, but also clients. And then once you're clients, you can bring them along to your networking events. And it's sort of a cyclical thing where you can, get to know people, get educated at the same time, have a good time, build those lifelong friendships and relationships. And yet people can really get to know you so that they can refer to you.
That makes perfect sense. I love that you said I'm not a business card collector, because clearly I'm not either. And
Right.
I agree with that. And, also about the speaking for networking events and things like that, I think that's a great way that small business owners out there can increase their visibility and their credibility, and it's always a good thing to do. I think some people get caught up in, well, I'm not getting paid for it and it's taking time and that kind of thing, but it really is a good way to market yourself and for people to understand more of what you do, like you said, so that they're able to refer you in a better way,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I was looking at your kind of background as I was preparing for this, and most of your experience before this was in direct sales. So
Correct.
I'm curious about, what led to the transition with all that experience in direct sales. What made you decide, I'm going to open my business coaching business?
Well, you're correct. I did have 18 years in direct sales, and the piece that I found that I loved the most about direct sales, I'm not a salesperson by nature. I'm a mentor and a coach. So I found that as I was building my team, as I was talking to my clients, I was coaching them, I was mentoring them. And that was where I found my passion, was not in the selling of the product, but in the teaching people how to use it and really sort of solidifying the specific needs that they had. So I did get invited to work for a company out of Spokane, Washington, as their direct sales consultant, but not to sell to them, but to consult and mentor them.
Okay.
And I did all of their coaching, I did all of their webinar training, I did their support, I worked with their developers, and I really fell in love with the coaching aspect of it. And in 2012, I decided that I wanted to go into a different direction. I went and got my own certifications in coaching, because I'm a detailed person, so I want to do everything by the book. So I went to coach training school and got certified in a number of different things. And in 2013, I decided to open Innovative Coaching Services, and
That's been going well since?
Going well since, yeah.
That's wonderful. So, one of the things I know about you is that you are a DISC practitioner, DISC,
That's
for
correct.
anybody who doesn't know. And that's an acronym, right? Or maybe not.
It's not really an acronym,
Okay.
but it does the DISC, or the 4 personality behavioral styles.
Got it. So for those of us that maybe are not as familiar with that as clearly you are, what does it mean to be a DISC practitioner, and who is it right for to hire you to do those kind of assessments?
Excellent question. So I'm a DISC practitioner. And what that means is I've just been trained in the DISC realm. So DISC was designed by a scientist and a psychologist way back when, and it's just an assessment on behavior styles and patterns. What I do is I've been trained to be able to give out the assessment,
Okay.
but also to evaluate the assessment and to train people how to use the information from the assessment. So all that means is that I use behavioral assessment to enhance my coaching practice and to provide people sort of a path to run on. So my DISC assessment starts to all of my different programs that I offer. So people can understand their strengths, their weaknesses, their communication style, how their communication style can be perceived by others.
Okay.
So it could be helping them or it could be hurting them.
Sure.
So I teach them how to identify it in themselves and into their potential clients so that they can adjust their communication style so that they can have more effective conversations and build those relationships and grow that know, like, and trust.
And probably help things like negotiating and
Absolutely.
conflict resolution,
Absolutely.
workplace drama, and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can do a ton of things with the information that you get from a DISC assessment.
Great. So, I know that your practice focuses on mompreneurs and women, and I was wondering why you decided to focus on that niche.
So I really focus on successful women entrepreneurs. So I like to work with women who know where they're going, but maybe they're feeling a little bit stuck. Maybe they're having sales conversations, meeting a lot of people, but they're not closing as many clients as they want to.
Okay.
So I find that I really excel at helping people to learn a new communication style and to be able to close more clients and to know specifically what to say, exactly when to say it, and to understand those body cues so that they can really have that client that's sitting across the table from them feel really heard
Okay.
and feel that connection so that they want to hire them right away. So I find that I really resonate with women. Not that I don't resonate with men, but I feel that, as women, we wear all the hats. We're
Right.
the moms, we're the wife, we're the daughter, we do all these different things. And we really do wrap our emotions in with it. There's, that's one of the things that separates us from the men.
Sure.
Is men can kind of go through the business action, they can shut it off, and they can go on with the rest of their day. We as women, we think about that person who said no to us, or we think about, that the next, field trip that's coming up, and are we going to be able to go on that field trip? And
Right.
so we have a lot of different things pulling on us. So I love to help women kind of sort that out, find what their balance is, and not necessarily what the keeping up with the Joneses balance is, and help them to live a more fulfilled life, and then that bleeds into a more successful business, because when we're happy at home, we're happy at work, and
Vice versa. Yeah, that makes sense. So, that kind of led into my next questions. Feeling like what's a concern for women that's not a concern for men. I guess it's the idea that we take on a lot more and we're not able to turn it off as much to grow our business and in the workplace kind of thing.
Very true.
And it's funny, this morning before I left, I was on Facebook and I was reading this article about a new term I hadn't heard called mansplaining. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I haven't.
So it's I hadn't heard of it either. And it was basically this woman talking about how terrible it is when men are in the workplace talking to her about something in a patronizing way. Mansplaining. Yeah. So, and I know, I've done a lot of talks, as I'm sure you have, and research about, women in the workplace and how we tend not to stand up for our promotion, our visibility, our opportunities, not build the same strong networks in the workplace, internal networking, all of that as men, unfortunately. It's a much more of a struggle for women. For women that do have a traditional kind of workplace role, who maybe aren't running their own business like you and I, like more of a corporate workplace.
Sure.
What do you think the biggest struggle or challenge is?
Well, it's funny. I was talking about this with someone yesterday, and one of my clients is actually has been struggling a little bit with people not hearing her and not, getting what she needs in the workplace. And I just said to her, you create how people treat you.
Right.
So I think one of the struggles that we have as women is we allow it. We don't feel we can stand up for ourselves, and we. When we're, being talked to and, mansplaining,
Right.
we don't say, that's not okay,
Yeah.
and we just really just kind of let it go. And, or, society has really allowed it to, perpetuate, and we just really don't stand up for ourselves and really draw those boundaries and really, create how people are treating us. So if we allow it, it's going to continue. If you change the pattern and the behavior, a lot of that will change for you as well. So I kind of feel like I'm going to have to look at the article now.
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you.
See what it is. So, but I think that, as women, one of the big struggles is that we need to be able to stand up for ourselves, create those boundaries, and really mold how people treat us.
And I would assume that part of what your services are for women is kind of helping them with that empowerment.
Absolutely.
Right? That's
Absolutely.
Great. So, as in the realm of all the business coaches that are out there, how would you say you distinguish yourself and kind of set yourself apart as a business coach?
Well, I think that's why I decided to become a DISC practitioner. I used the DISC behavioral assessment back in my direct sales years for 18 years.
Okay.
You can use it. Like I said, there's many applications for the information that you get in your DISC assessment. So I find that that's what sets me apart is I have a background in psychology.
Okay.
I was one of the few colleges. I went to Shippensburg University and I actually have a minor in coaching.
Oh, okay.
So it was a combination of athletic coaching and mentoring. So I kind of feel like I can bring that psychology background. I can bring that mentoring background and also utilize the behavioral patterns to help you kind of uncover what is going on in your life and really find the source that needs to be addressed so that you can really change those conversation patterns and really have more effective sales conversations and really feel that confidence so that you are, asking for more speaking engagements or I'm talking about myself, so you can really, understand your behavioral patterns
right.
so that you can use them to your advantage and understand what doesn't work for you and learn how to delegate those.
Okay.
So I think that that's really what sets me apart is
Sure.
the behavioral components.
Okay. And, I don't know if there is a typical day, but, if somebody's working with you, what does that look like? Yeah.
Well, I have 3 different types of programs. So I do have my elite one-on-one clients.
Okay.
So those are essentially the clients that get all of me. So we do laser coaching sessions where we make actionable plans. We use the different segments of the DISC assessment to restructure business systems so that they're more effective and more efficient. We work on building an entrepreneur's team. So a lot of us are solopreneurs.
Okay.
So maybe we might have an accountant or a lawyer, or maybe we don't. So we kind of look at the team aspect of who's our support team, who's helping us, who might be hurting us, and kind of readjusting that. So I talk to my clients via Skype. My elite clients can text and email me. I also have a group coaching program that is a number of different entrepreneurs. We meet once a week via webinar.
Okay.
And we do some content teaching at what the group needs at the time. And we also do some laser coaching. So I do have a couple of programs that have content-based, but all of them have a component of personalization so that we're working on individual, specific, actionable plans to move you forward.
Okay.
And one of the greatest things of coaching is accountability. I just came off of a trial for myself where I didn't have a coach for 6 months, and my business did not move forward. I can't say it didn't move back at all. I mean, it didn't fall apart.
Right.
But I do find that my business grows exponentially when I have a coach.
So you have your own coach.
I do
you
have my
earlier.
own coach now, yes.
Okay.
So I went from 6 months without a coach. I had a coach for 2 years.
Okay.
And I had 2 different coaches, one each year. And then I have another coach. And I just hired the coach in April.
Okay.
And in the last 6 weeks, my business has grown exponentially again. So it was one of those things where, I mean, people are like, you're a coach. Why do you need a coach? Well, because you can't really coach yourself. You're too emotionally invested.
Of course.
There's too many components that you are looking at this closely where your coach can really see a bigger picture for you and help you get to that point. So I highly recommend coaching for everyone. It's a great investment for any entrepreneur to help expand their business. And, generally for coaching, it's an investment.
It's a big investment, yeah.
But, if you look at the return on the investment, it can be, exponential, if you really, have a good coach.
So it sounds like from what you're saying that when you first started your business, you didn't have a coach, and then at some point into the business, you decided you need a coach.
Correct.
So what you think brought you to that point where you thought, at this point, I want to make the investment, I need my own coach?
Well, in the very beginning of my business, now my coach training school helped us start our business. So we graduated with clients.
Okay.
That was part of
That's great.
that was part of the requirement, actually. So you needed to have clients in order to graduate. And I found that I had clients, but I really wasn't like moving forward. And, you know, my coach training school said, you know, it's a great idea for you to have a mentor coach. And I was like, I can't make that kind of investment. That's just not going to be, you know, good enough for me. And then finally, I was spinning my wheels, and I came across the opportunity to do an online group coaching program with a group of women. I think there was 1,100 of us in the group.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it was a 90-day program, and I was like, you know what? It's just 90 days. I'll try that and move forward from there. And I did, and my business almost tripled in that 90 days.
Wow.
And I was just like, you know, it comes back to the accountability. When you're, you know, working for yourself, we're not accountable to anyone.
Right.
So really it's just, am I going to eat this week? Or
Right.
But when you have an accountability where you're actually working on your business instead of just working, it really does help your business to grow and flourish and get that foundation and those roots so that you can have the residual income and have the income that you need to make things go.
I think too, you know, there's the flip side of that, which is, you know, as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, a lot of times we don't even see our own successes and progress.
Absolutely.
Like I know a lot of times, you know, I don't look at the good. I look at, well, I didn't do this and I didn't accomplish this. And, you know, so I mean,
Absolutely.
even having a group or a mentor that helps you see that, you know,
Right.
yes, you can grow. These are the steps you want to take to bring your business to next level. But this is what you've done, you know,
Exactly.
like, and I think sometimes that's very hard to look at for yourself.
It really is. It really is.
So that's very helpful.
It is.
Yeah.
And I find that having a coach, having someone to say, hey, look what I accomplished, or, you know, hey, I'm going to be on the show with Jennifer today.
Right.
And just having someone be like, that's fantastic. And just having someone be able to help you structure, you know, what you're going to do next with that. So it's like, you know, they're there to be a cheerleader, but they're also there to help push you to the next level and be like, you know, what else are we going to do?
Right.
And I think that that's really a great benefit to have as having a coach.
Sure. So for you, do you have kind of a, like, you know, storefront? Do you have a place that you work out of? Do you see clients, or is it more kind of the Skype and the phone sessions and things that you talked about?
I do have some office space that I utilize in Center City.
Okay.
I also have some office space I use in Media and Wayne.
Okay.
And then of course, I have a home office as well. So it really depends on the client. I mean, I do have a client that's in Washington State, so that we're clearly not going to get together face to face. So I love that I have the opportunity to use Skype. I love to use Skype because I like to read body language and facial expression. So I prefer Skype. I can do just phone for people who have to. We do a lot of teaching via webinar as well too.
Okay.
So I'm learning, you know, Google Hangout and all that kind of stuff where we can do the video thing for that too. So I do recently, I just started to meet people face to face at my, it's Liquid Office Space. So it's like, we just have a great meeting space, which I think is a really great benefit to be able to meet face to face, especially since, you know, some of the programs are an investment. Sometimes people need that personal connection and that personal face to face time. So there's a lot of different ways that we can work, and I do based on people's personalities. Some people want to hide behind the computer and would rather do Skype. And some are that social butterfly that really want to get out there and you know, be able to hug you and that sort of thing. So I try and be a little flexible with my clients, within boundaries, of course.
Right.
And offer the opportunities for them to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of the people that you know want to hide behind a computer, that might be somebody that you insist on meeting in person just to get them out of their box, right? Yeah.
It depends on where we're going with them. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. So it sounds like there's a lot of options.
Yes.
So, you know, you've been in business for a few years now. What would you say has been the best and kind of most challenging thing about running your own business?
Well, it's funny, I'll tell you a story. This recently, in April, was Bring Your Child to Work Day.
Okay.
And my kids always went to my husband's work because he works in corporate America, and they always have a big program. Well, this year, somehow they just forgot to plan it.
Okay.
So, and my kids, I mean, they see me work, but they're gone during the day.
Right.
So they don't really see me work during the day. So my daughter asked if she could stay with me. So we got up, we went to a networking event at 7:45 in the morning. I had her do a 30-second intro.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was
How'd
fun.
she do?
She did great. She
Oh,
did
that's
great.
awesome. Yeah.
And then we did some work in the office. I had a coaching session that of course I told my client that she was there.
Right.
We had a lunch meeting. So we worked from 7:45 till 4. And then she was exhausted. I'm like, well, let's go take a little quick half an hour nap. So we took a little half an hour nap. And then we were back at the desk at 6:30. I had my coaching session with my coach that she got to sit in on. And we worked until 9:30. And in my Mother's Day card, she said that she was so happy to be able to see what an entrepreneur does and that she knows now that I deserve a nap every day. That it was really hard to work.
That's so sweet.
So I think as being able to be flexible and be able to be places, but yet my kids don't expect me to be there every time. But yet they're learning to use the phone. They're learning to interact with people. They're learning that, this job world may include entrepreneurship for them. And I think that that's one of my paychecks of the heart sort of thing, to be able to see my kids catch what I'm doing and be able to help everybody. So my son wrote on his Mother's Day card that Mommy helps women. So I was just like, so they're getting it, so
That's
it's
great
neat to see it from their perspective.
Yeah, I love, I feel like these days there's a lot more kind of geared towards kids understanding that they can grow up to be an entrepreneur, whether it's, having a parent like you where they see it firsthand, or, there's, I know there's a program locally that I know of called YEA, Young Entrepreneur Academy, and it's almost like a kid's Shark Tank. So, there's a lot more opportunities out there, I feel like, for kids to kind of do that at a younger age. I love that you had her do an elevator pitch. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, just like kind of knowing that there's not, you don't have to go to corporate America. Not that there's anything wrong with corporate America, but if you want to do your own thing.
Options.
Right. I think that's great. Yeah. So what is in store for your business for the rest of this year? Tell us about, any promotions you have or things coming up. I know you have an event planned for the fall.
I do.
Tell us about that.
So I'm working with my new coach. So we're revamping. I wrote a program called Productive by Personality.
Okay.
I've run it a few times. It was an 8-week program. I'm finding that we're going to expand it for a longer term just because people start to get a little bit behind in the homework weeks 5 and 6. So loving working with my coach on that. So that's going to be a new relaunch for that Productive by Personality. So I'm really excited about that this year. And in September, the tentative date right now is Friday, September 30th.
Okay.
But what we're doing is I'm organizing a workshop day. So it's going to be a full day workshop sort of thing, like a 9 to 3 sort of thing, where we are going to be doing a checkup on your business before the last quarter of the year.
Oh, that's great.
So basically we're going to bring in a business lawyer. We're going to be bringing in a financial expert. We're going to be bringing in a style expert. We're going to be bringing in a health expert. I'm going to be talking about sales conversations. But basically, we're going to be evaluating the first 3 quarters of your business, how it's been going, and we're going to develop a plan so you can reach your ultimate goals in that last quarter of the year. So I think it's going to be a really worthwhile workshop. And I think there's going to be a lot of great information, and I think people are going to really get a good bit of education out of that.
Yeah, so I think that's a wonderful idea, because I feel like sometimes, you get to that point of the year, and if things didn't go as planned, you're kind of like, well, there's only 2 months or 3, I only have this many, and the holidays are coming up. Maybe I'll just regroup in January, but you kind of lose
and
focus.
You lose 3 months.
Right? Yeah.
3 months of income. Yeah,
and
the momentum slows down, and it always takes longer. So that's why we're thinking.
I love it. That's a great idea.
September,
okay, so look for that on September 30th.
Yes.
Tentatively, and we'll find, I guess people can find more information on that.
It will be on my
website.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And so, do you have a personal goal this year? Maybe like a bucket list kind of thing that you want to accomplish in 2016? A lot of times when I ask people this, it involves travel. Yeah.
I always do have a bucket list item that I like to accomplish each year. This year, I really am focusing on paying attention to my balance.
Okay.
So I really have been working through the weekends. As entrepreneurs, we work sometimes 7 days a week. So we work 12 hours a day. And I'm really learning this year to unplug on the weekends. So that's been my goal and my focus, is to not only unplug on the weekends, spend time with the family, but also have personal time. But also to not feel guilty about it.
Right.
So that's where the work is coming this year. So that's sort of a bucket list, to lose the guilt and make sure that I have time for myself.
I think that's a great goal as an entrepreneur. I mean, I know when I
Absolutely.
started my business the first year, I was working all the time. And, I really felt burned out, and still, I think it's a process. It's not like things are 100% better now, but they're at least 50% better now. And,
Sure.
we keep learning and trying to grow and finding that balance. So as far as the work-life balance, what's a tip that you would give other entrepreneurs out there for kind of achieving the work-life balance? I know you do a lot with productivity and things like that.
Absolutely.
What's a tip you would have for our viewers?
Well, my tip would be, so a short daily tip would be to set a timer on your desk for 60 minutes.
Okay.
And at 60 minutes, get up and do something else just for 5 minutes. Sometimes I just walk around the house. Sometimes I'll go get a cup of coffee. But every hour, I'm getting up away from my desk. I might do some stretching. And that kind of really helps me stay productive.
Okay.
If I try and work through 4 hours, I get really tired. I'm not as clear, but just that 5 minutes every hour, even if it's just walking around my house or around my yard or around the building that I'm in, it really does help clarify, gets my brain back in sync, and it really does help me out. So I do that. I just started doing that recently, and it really has helped a lot.
Yeah.
And then as far as my bucket list, my tip would be to help find that balance is to schedule me time, and I know there's been some, things in the media that me time's not the best thing, but I think that it can be done well. It doesn't have to be a lot of me time, but, just and schedule it, and it's a non-negotiable appointment.
Right.
It's just one of those things where pick a certain day where you're going to be unplugged, or even just an afternoon where you can read a book, or you can go lay in the grass, or whatever you want to do, because now we have spring and summer coming, and, we'll be able to have the sunshine and things like that. So just really schedule it. Maybe even a recurring appointment with yourself, that it's a non-negotiable and nothing else can go in that spot. So it's just you time.
I think that when we don't schedule me time, it just doesn't like
happen.
You said, if it's non-negotiable and it's scheduled, that's one thing. And otherwise, I feel like you just fit things in on the calendar. You say, oh, well, I was going to have Friday afternoon for myself, but this client wants to meet, so I'll just put them in there.
Exactly.
And just kind of telling yourself, no, I won't put them in there. I'll give them some other options, because that is the time I designated for myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to lose the guilt about it. That's
Exactly.
the thing.
Yeah. So we'll all work on that. Yeah. So, as far as networking groups that have helped you, I know we talked a little bit about at the beginning about networking events.
Sure.
Would you say there's a group that has kind of helped you grow your business that you would want to highlight?
I love Femfessionals. That really has been, it's a good sisterhood group. I am also a chapter leader for Business Among Moms. It's, that's a growing organization. It's a national organization. I run the Lehigh Valley, Montgomery, and Chester counties chapter. And then I just really like to try a lot of different networking events. I've been to so many new ones recently. I really feel like it's, and as your business changes, sometimes you need to grow into different realms.
Sure.
So sometimes, but one of the tips I do have is go where your clients are.
Right.
So I tend to gravitate towards women's groups. But if your clients aren't women, then maybe you need to go to a non-women's group. So that would be what I would recommend, is to test out different ones.
That was something else I was going to ask you about, but you kind of answered it. I think sometimes, especially as women, we are more comfortable networking with other women, and we tend to focus on going to women's networking groups. I mean, I do networking for a living, and I'm still guilty of it myself a lot of the time. And, it's kind of finding that bigger picture of like where your clients are, like you said, and expanding your horizons and not networking with the same people. So, I know that I've done a lot of research on the benefits or the pitfalls of just networking with other women.
Sure.
And, there's a lot more out there. So you have to kind of assess, your business goals and your target audience and all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, so we're coming to the end. So I want to make sure people know how to reach you.
Okay.
So, please give our viewers any information that would be helpful for them. Yeah.
Okay. You can find me on the internet at innovativecoachingservices.com. And I also have a Facebook page. So if you just search for Innovative Coaching Services, my Facebook page will come up. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm listed under Mindy Lipsky. So,
so that's how
that's
people
good.
can reach
Yeah.
you. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.